You know what they say, Rob Dog.
Yes, I do.
The fatter the fupa, the sweeter the chalupa. Welcome back to the Cream Spot. I'm your co-host, the delicious Nicolicious.
I'm Rob Dog. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
I'm here with my best friend in the entire galactic universe, Rob Diggity Dangle Dog. He said, I need a bottle opener. I knew there was one by my feet. I bent over it. The office chair shot out from underneath my fat ass. I fell on the concrete. I was not laughing, but Robert was laughing.
Yeah, his butt crack was hanging out a little bit, too. It was pretty good.
Confirmed. I says, my butt crack hanging out. He said, yeah, only a little.
It's just peeking out and saying hi.
He said, do you mind if I fuck your butt crack? I said, that's really weird, pal. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't do anything like that this episode. Oh, man, I fell hard.
Yeah, man. Just take a minute, catch your breath.
Luckily, my joints caught me right there.
Right.
Right knee.
And your hip.
It's blown out now.
It happens.
We're so happy to have you guys here along with us for this extravagant adventure.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a true crime massacre, as we like to call them. I don't know what we call them, but we were due for a true crime episode. I do know that.
It has been a minute, yeah.
I do know one thing, though. These chickens, they come, they go. Saturday through Sunday, Monday.
That's a banger.
It is. And it had me thinking this week. I was listening to, I turn on little, different playlists. I use YouTube Music. I'm not on Spotify or Apple Music. I use YouTube Music. So fucking sue me, bros.
I still use MySpace. It's okay.
Fucking come at me. Shut me down, whatever.
Apple Music, doggy.
I may use YouTube Music, but you have puffy nipples, and that's you're never going to get a promotion at work because of that. And I was listening to Eminem, and his new album came on, and I was listening to it. I was like, man, that guy's good. He's still got it, whatever he does. And I started thinking, one of those diss tracks came out with Machine Gun Kelly and shit. I haven't heard anything about that guy since that happened. I haven't heard anything from him.
He just put out a pop rock album.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard nothing about it.
It's actually really good.
It's because he got slaughtered by Marshall Mathers. That's why. That's what happened. I'm on Team Marshall. Team Eminem. I don't know anything about Machine Gun Kelly except for he's really handsome.
I didn't either, except when we went to take my son to go see Fall Out Boy, he opened up and put on a fucking crazy good show.
Did he?
Crazy good show.
That's all that matters, man.
Yeah.
I'd probably love it, too.
It was really fucking good.
I made my dad take me to see Kid Rock one time. He's like, I fucking don't want to watch this stupid goddamn hillbilly fuck pigs on top of it. I'm like, you're going to like it. I mean, you're going to like it a lot. He didn't like it, so. But Kid Rock did wear a lot of fur.
Yeah, that would be very hard to perform in.
You did it. You had a good show, man. I thought it was wonderful.
I'd be hotter than shit, dude.
This past week, well, let's get our Patreon subscribers out of the way here. First, we have Skinna, a.k.a. the Dog Roll. We appreciate you and all the cool stuff you do with your dog, Skinna, a.k.a. the Dog Roll, and thank you for your Patreon pledge.
Oh, Molly Sear, thank you.
And next, we got Zach Grassman. Thank you, Zachariah Grassman.
Let's see here.
That's not to be confused with the Ass Man. I know this says Grass Man, but the two completely different things.
He's the Weed Man.
Okay, yeah.
Josh McGillivray.
I think you nailed that one.
McGillivray?
Yeah, that's a really hot. And look at that beard in his picture.
It's glorious.
Titty fuck that beard.
You're a beautiful man.
And Diego Martinez. I sound like Michael Buffer or Bruce Buffer. I don't even know what Buffer it is now.
Michael does the boxing. Bruce does UFC.
He used to do WCW for the thousands in attendance and the millions. This past week, I didn't tell you guys because you probably would have hunted me down and followed me and tried to suck on my toes and stuff, but I went to Traverse City, Michigan for a little family vacation.
Yeah, looked beautiful.
Oh, man, is that... In Ohio, it's ingrained in us to hate Michigan. That it's a shithole, that it's disgusting, that it's nothing but foulness and stench. That is God's country. That's a beautiful state.
Yeah, it looked really pretty from where you
I drove through Flint on the highway. That place is fucked up. That's bad. You guys can keep that off the map. But aside from that, my daughter, for some default reason, well, it's a family thing, I don't know, but she's a Michigan Wolverines fan, which I don't really care. I'm not a super college guy.
Yeah. I can't stand Ohio State, so it's all good.
We did take her past the big house, the Michigan Stadium, so she could check that out. But God, what a beautiful state! The coast, or up there along Lake Michigan, is where we went. the Bear something dunes. I don't know.
They can keep that fucking winter, though. Oof.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. I've not been there for that.
No, me neither, but I mean, I can just, our winter sucks, and they're higher than us, so.
They are higher. They got legal weed.
Do they?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, what the fuck is taking Ohio so long?
They do. They have recreational marijuana.
Get in fucking line, Ohio. Phil, do this thing, man.
Speaking of recreational marijuana, we have a podcast to plug. These are some dear friends of the show. Actually, we grew up with one of these guys, and he's been captured in many stories in this podcast. He is Mikey No Name on that show, I believe. But if you guys...
We know his name.
If you guys write the podcast and ask us his last name, we'll give it to you, along with his place of employment.
And his social security number.
We do have his social security number. We have his family genealogy. His mom has served me many meals and many beverages over the years.
The best people.
And then they have a host that's much like me, that's loud and obnoxious and retarded. And I've worked with him and been buddies with him for a long time. It's a group of great girls. So here is the It List podcast. That's the It List podcast.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the hottest new podcast to ever grace the airwaves.
The It List.
A one-stop shop for all things pop culture. Movies. Brokeback Mountain was made by a bunch of homophobes.
Music.
Lady A can sling it.
Sports.
Emmett couldn't hold Barry's jockstrap. Food. Mom's French toast.
Travel. I think I'd go with the Bellagio.
4 guys from different walks of life offering their own nominees in any given topic in an attempt to concoct a perfect top 5 list. Fathead Joel. This is combined Dave Coulier and Robert Goulet.
I did.
Mark the Cop.
You're sitting there like you, Joel, hitting the bong and doing terrible things to your dog with a fork.
Mikey No Name. I'm sorry, I thought I was in a room with smart people. I guess I'm not.
Beerly Kyle.
That sound of that beer.
I just went from 6 to midnight. The It List podcast.
Available now on all major platforms.
TheItlistPodcast.com.
Check it out.
And we're going to follow that up with a couple words from our wonderful sponsors. So obviously you guys listen to us, so you're into shit and guys that fuck each other, so you'll love that podcast as well. They're just starting out. This is their first week. So go check them out. I think I gave them the advice. I said, don't release just one episode, because then people will come if they think you're good. They'll want more, and there won't be any more, and they'll forget about you.
Yep.
So when you release it, release like 3 or 4. And I think they released between 3 and 5. I'm not sure.
Cool.
But they took my advice. And just for that reason alone, go check out the It List podcast. And if you like podcasts, have you come to the right one or what, buddy? We've got a really special article for you this week.
Sweet.
It says, NASA says it needs a new space toilet for the Artemis moon missions.
Oh, yes.
Imagine that you're crammed inside a claustrophobic spacecraft in zero gravity, hurtling at tens of thousands of miles per hour, and you have to poop. That would be Rob Dog.
That would be me. Yeah.
Designing a toilet that works in space has posed a serious challenge for NASA. What's his NASA? NASA. Since the early days of space travel. Now the space agency is calling for your help. They just launched, quote, Lunar Loo Challenge is a collaboration between NASA's Human Landing System program, its tournament lab, and a startup called HeroX, which organizes crowdsourcing campaigns. If you submit a design, you could even take home a $20,000 cash prize that will probably be taxed to the mother goddamn gills, not to mention the knowledge that you've changed the trajectory of human space travel. We want to press this community of makers, garage tinkerers, and citizen scientists to really see what ideas they could bring up, said Michael Inner-Babaloo, who works at NASA's Human Lunar Lander Crew Module Development Team, and helped organize the challenge in an interview with Futurism. The idea is to seek the public's help to devise a space toilet that can work in both microgravity and lunar gravity. Designs, according to documents provided by organizers, must allow for simultaneous urination and defecation and accommodate 500 grams of diarrhea per event, all the while making sure that the crew is not exposed to urine, feces, or other just
floating liquid diarrhea in the fucking space shuttle. I said time capsule. They're like, oh, fucking grab the Ziplocs.
Neil Armstrong punched that guy in the face, so I imagine he's not fun to shit with in space.
Oh, man.
I couldn't flush the goddamn stuff because we got shitty fucking toilets up here, so it's just floating around.
I bet he's like solid fucking logs. He probably eats a lot of fiber.
It comes out in just like a 2x6.
It's like chalk.
Like pine. If you've ever pooped in space, which I have not.
Surprisingly, I watched a video last week.
Girls pooping on each other?
It was a woman, but she was at the International Space Station, and she was showing like the bathrooms and how they sleep and shit. And it's literally like a funnel with like a tube that looks like the hose part of a vacuum cleaner. Like, you know how it's got, like, the ribs on it so it can, like, extend?
Yeah.
And they literally have to either piss or shit in that thing. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a funnel going into a long-ass tube, and I don't know where the tube goes.
Someone like me who cannot not simultaneously piss and shit at the same time.
Oh, man, that'd be weird.
You got to plug one end of the shop vac into your dick, which probably feel good if you put a vacuum on your penis like that, and then you got to shit into the other side of the tube. That seems like it would be a precision. That would be a...
Yeah, man.
You would need some precision for that.
You have to be able to tuck your dick all the way back behind your taint.
I had to poop in a trailer this weekend, like a camping trailer.
Yeah.
And I looked at this toilet. It looked like that Yankee Candle right there in front of me, as big around as that. And I said, how am I going to get my dick tucked underneath there and shit at the same time?
You can barely get your butthole on it.
So then I said, you know what? This thing has to be waterproof. I shit, and I just pissed all over the place. I pissed all over the walls, on the floor. I just let it all go because, they spray them trailers out. They got to be water.
This is my trailer now, boys.
Here, if we're going in there, it's a little slickery. All right, so that's what they're trying to do. They're
Cool.
if any of you are trying to, if you got the know-how, or
I feel like it'd be easier to like figure it out for women.
No, Rob, that's Pandora's box down there.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen it with the light on, but there's 3 holes.
Yeah, man, it's weird.
There's a butthole and there's 2 vaginas. There's 2 vaginas. There's like a vagina
and there's a pee hole.
And no, the pee comes out of the butt. I've talked to my mom about this.
Okay.
Like a rotatable vagina. So like when they get old, they don't use the vagina anymore. They just grab it like a bowling ball and they can
flip it around,
and then they use the small vagina because they don't need that big hole for that stuff anymore.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, but I asked my mom. I said, "You pee out of your butt?" She thought it was funny, but she said, "Yeah, something like that." So she did confirm.
Okay.
That
hey, you heard it here.
Yeah, I could probably call her and ask her.
God, she'd freak out.
Although I missed a call from her earlier in the day, and I haven't called her back, so she would be upset.
She'll probably be mad.
She would be really upset. Hold on, I'm just gonna call her.
Just cold call her. Fuck it.
We're just gonna wing it. I'm gonna tell her that I'm sorry that I didn't call her back.
But you have a really important question for her.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell her I'm sorry. She's gonna answer me on her watch, and it's gonna be really fucking annoying. She always answers on the Apple Watch.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, well, hello there, son of mine.
Quit. I'm sorry, I forgot to call you back earlier.
That's all right. I still love you a little bit.
Okay. I'm talking to Robert, my friend Robert from school.
You're what now?
I'm talking to my friend Robert from school, from high school and middle school.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, am I on the podcast?
No.
But when I was little, I asked you if women pee out of their butt, and you told me yes, and I just asked Rob about it, and he said that's not correct.
He said,
Mom.
He said it's rotatable.
Yeah.
So they so they can you can turn it. So there's
like when you get old, you can rotate because there's 2 holes.
Like you know the big wheel on Wheel of Fortune, or like on The Price is Right when you get to spin the.
I don't know which one of you guys are more cuckoo.
Cuckoo, that is such an old lady thing to call it. You need to call it something a lot nastier than that.
Okay, crazy.
Shitheads.
Yeah, and then you go ahead and add the rest of it.
I'm going to look this up, and if women don't really pee out of their butts, I'm taking you out.
You're a mess.
Okay, well, I love you. I'll talk to you. I'll come see you tomorrow.
You will, huh?
Yeah, so I love you.
I love you.
Bye.
She's
She's pleading the fifth.
The problem was she was kind of reserved. Normally she would call me retarded or shut the fuck up, but she went on a trip with a bunch of Christian people to Amish country.
So it's rubbed off a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
And she's...
Give her a week.
Praising the Lord right now.
All right.
But she was...
Hallelujah.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Thank you, OG Mrs. Nicolicious. Now, let's move on to our topic at hand here.
Sure.
This is Katherine Knight. And my favorite thing about Katherine Knight is she's a redhead.
Yes.
God damn, is she a swamp donkey, but...
Oh, man. You just ruined it.
She is a meanie. She's mean looking, and she's mean. I know some relationships can get pretty heated, Rob. We've all been there. You get in a fight with your spouse, and you'll say anything. You'll feel anything.
And you know what? I'm going to piss people off right now. I'm going to piss people off really bad.
That's fine, dude.
Redheads. You're either a 1 or a 10. There's no in between.
I'm choking my drink right there. That's not fair, Rob.
You're either Ed Sheeran or you're Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls. You're fucking one or the other.
Yeah, that's to each their own, I guess. I don't
really mean that.
I'm a well-traveled man. As far as I know, a lot of people. I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of things. You're absolutely right.
When there's a hot redhead, they are gorgeous.
I've called the police because I thought there was a water buffalo coming into my house, but turns out it was just a redheaded person that I was not ready to come into my house.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Because you have to be ready for a redhead to come into your house, or else if it catches you off guard, you're likely to call the police, discharge a firearm.
Well, it needs physical permission before it can walk through your doorway.
You have to have a permit to have redheaded people inside your house.
Right.
And that thing about gingers and no souls, I don't buy into that. Every redheaded person I've met's been pretty nice for the most part.
They're more like vampires.
But this bitch seems pretty wild, this Katherine Knight. But like we said, we've all been there. You get in a fight with your spouse, and you'll just about say anything or feel anything. And I don't know if I speak for Rob and I would say we're pretty much the level-headed ones in our relationships.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And sometimes my wife will say things. It doesn't hurt my feelings that bad, but I know she doesn't mean it.
I don't cry that long.
I know, it's just it's spur of the moment kind of thing. She's like, I wish you'd die in a fucking waterfall.
Mine's always like, are you fucking retarded? Like, you're so stupid.
It's not medically diagnosed, but I feel pretty good right now. The carbon monoxide leak, I think my head is... My name's Rob Dog. Why are you talking to me?
I did fucking cook with the gas grill inside my garage this weekend, so that me.
Yeah,
I had the garage doors open, so it's okay.
Shit like that will get you fucked up. It goes without saying, our friend Katherine Knight, the subject of this episode, was the product of a very terrible childhood.
Okay, and
that goes without saying for most of these murder massacres that we read into. But she's from Australia.
Okay.
And one thing, Australia doesn't have nearly as many murders as we do here in America. But God damn it, when they go for it, they really fucking go for it.
Yeah.
The Snowtown murders, there was dead bodies everywhere. They're in fucking barrels, like 100-gallon drums. They're all kind. And then she does this, and there's a lot of other Aussie-based murders that I've read about. I'm just like, man, when they want to do something, they really put their mind to it. And I think that it goes without saying for this episode as well, Katherine Knight, she came through in the clutch.
Dude, my favorite thing about Australia is their slang. Their slang is the best.
I was trying to find...
It's so bizarre. I love it.
A slang for a very... I'm sorry. I was trying to find slang for a very ugly female because I was going to...
Swamp donkey.
Tag her with that. I think they do... I think they say slags as well.
Slags? Yeah, I've heard slag, yeah.
But don't get it twisted. There was a couple pictures of Katherine Knight where I thought, oh, she's not, she doesn't look like a water buffalo, like I said before, but you'll find out why these men loved her so much.
Okay.
And Rob's going to tell you about her childhood a little bit.
Yeah, let's go into her childhood here. Katherine Knight was born on October 24th, the day of your Lord and Savior Rob Dog.
Why watch it.
Same birthday, so you know what kind of person we're dealing with. On October 24th, 1955.
Either a 1 or a 10.
She's a 10 right now. She's born the same day as me. In Tenterfield, Australia. Catherine's mother, Barbara, had to leave the area. The family originally came from the town of Aberdeen due to an affair she was caught in.
And Barbara is she's a very popular character in this episode. So Katherine Knight is the subject of the episode, but Barbara, her mother, is also very involved.
She's
in
a
this.
strong supporting actress.
Yep.
So Barbara was caught banging her husband's coworker. What a lovely lady. His name was Ken Knight.
They all worked at the slaughterhouse together.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
What a great occupation. Let's see here. The Knight family and Barbara's family were best of friends in a very conservative area of Aberdeen. So when this affair happened, she was shunned along so with Ken. They moved to Tenterfield, New South Wales to escape the outrage that was reaching from the community. Once Ken and Barbara made it to Tenterfield, that's where Katherine, along with her twin sister, was born.
And I believe the research was so weird and scattered with this one. There was so much like conflicting shit. But I believe that Barbara's mother, which would have been Catherine's grandma, she lived with them at some point, and she was an Indigenous Australian. And I looked that up.
What does that even mean?
Oh, well, it is people that lived in Australia before Europe came over and kind of did their thing. And some of these people, there's some really beautiful people, but some of them, they're like bones in their nose, dragging clubs and shit like that. So they'll fuck you up.
Have a didgeridoo through their their septum.
They can carry a didgeridoo. They got a pocket in their rectal cavity. They can fit a 9-foot didgeridoo.
They have a kangaroo pouch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about Indigenous Australians.
No.
Beautiful culture, and some of the pictures I saw, really beautiful people, but some of them look like the witch doctors in Ace Ventura too.
Yes.
Guano! Yeah, shit like that.
So good.
The kids received a lot of problems from other children in the community. What's her name? Catherine and her twin sister Joy. They would get, they would get a lot of problems from other kids in the community. I guess it was a racism thing motivated by the fact that her grandmother was an Indigenous Australian. I think they may be called Aborigines or something. Mm-hmm. I might be wrong about that.
That's right. So, of course, just like Nick said, Katherine didn't have many friends or close relationships growing up. Aside from her twin sister, she had a champion horseman uncle that she adored and looked up to.
And he didn't ride horses. He just had a really big penis.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Such a big penis, they gave him a trophy. It's a champion horseman.
So, unfortunately, though, he committed suicide when she was around 14, and it's something, of course, she never really recovered from. Her home life was, of course, really, really shitty. She claimed that her dad, Ken, was an abusive alcoholic, so not the fun kind of alcoholic. He would threaten his wife, Catherine's mom,
Barbara,
with violence and intimidation, and would ultimately rape her more than 10 times a day.
God damn.
10 times a day.
Raping his wife 10 times a day. What are the laws on raping your wife? I don't know what they are, but I would like to know what they are to find out if I need a retainer for an attorney, because if this is something that I'm going to go to prison for, I need to find out. But I need to know if the rape laws associated with a spouse, because I don't think
I mean, it's obviously without her approval.
Is it ever with her? Well, yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Most of the time. Let's move on from here.
So let's not get hit with the hashtag #MeToo on this one. So
yeah.
Apparently Barbara didn't really have anyone to talk to, so she would confide in her young daughter. She would confide in her young daughters the details of how sexually abusive their father was, which I'm thinking that's probably not the best idea.
Isn't that a little... I'll tell you what, I was getting railed out by your dad, and he was raping her 10 times a day, man. 10 plus times.
Dude, even in my best days, I couldn't
Give
even
the pussy
jerk
a
off
break.
more than 6, or my dick would feel
6? God, they should make a statue in your honor, pal. That's pretty good.
My dick would look like a slinky afterwards.
Yeah, it looked like mashed potatoes.
Exactly.
Many family members have attested that up until the age of about 11, Katherine was sexually abused by several people in her family, although her father was not one of those that abused her, which is kind of strange with how abusive and drunk he was in general. Many people interviewed described Katherine as a pleasant girl for the most part. That wouldn't last for long, though. The problem was they also described Katherine that she would have episodes of murderous rage that she would burst into when she wouldn't get her way. She would have these violent episodes during minor upsets as well. So, for instance, her mom buys her the wrong tampon. I don't even think they wear tampons in Australia. I think they just let it go in the diaper.
Yeah.
They do a lot of weird stuff in Australia.
Just use drop bear fur.
I'm reading through this research, and they're calling stuff by its name, and I have no they have so much different names for shit. There's one scene where she's got a stroller for something. They call the stroller a budgie or
a budgie.
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I said, it's a goddamn stroller. I didn't know what it was.
It's a budgie.
It's a budgie. A budgie sounds like something that you could use to clean your dick in a pinch, like specifically
it sounds
marketed. Get your budgie, like for cleaning your wiener.
It sounds to me like if you were to like a front wedgie on a girl.
Okay, yeah, but you got to yell it when you do it. Budgie, budgie.
Just pull it right up the cooter crack.
Budgie, budgie. That's a Melvin here.
It is. Yeah.
I like a good old-fashioned Melvin. I've been known to cause a little bleeding by giving Melvins to my younger brother in my younger years. I've put burn marks next to his sack from yanking his up.
Oh, God.
It's amazing what some Superman underwear will do to you if you're not careful. During Katherine's teenage years, she attended Muswell Brook High School, which is my alma mater as well.
It's so Australian.
Muswell Brook High School. Her classmates remember her as a loner, but more importantly, they remember her as a raging bully. There are records of her assaulting smaller kids and even using weapons against one other kid at one point. And she would only pick on the smaller kids. She wouldn't pick on the kids that were her size. But there was this was kind of funny to hear these people explain this shit. There was one altercation on the schoolyard where this is between Katherine and her twin sister, Joy. They were kind of yakking each other on the schoolyard over a bicycle. And I don't know if that's commonplace to ride a goddamn bicycle around in the schoolyard, but as not common here in America.
Or if a bicycle's different in Australia than what it is here.
It might not be a bicycle.
It's like a monster truck.
It's a Tasmanian devil.
Right.
It's just this old dog they keep out on the schoolyard. And so the sisters, Katherine and Joy, they get to arguing over this bike. This turned into a bit of a physical altercation, whereas most little girls would presumably pinch, pull hair, maybe even slap one another. These two fucking dog beasts locked knuckles, put up their fist, and started like bashing each other in the face. Just straight, red-headed, nasty, knuckle fucking each other's faces, punching each other, trying to knock each other's eyeballs out.
Hell yeah.
And that's what they were doing. They were Ronda Rousey and that shit. Well,
That's
they weren't getting kicked in the head and knocked out. They were
old Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, old
or
Ronda.
just a younger Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Looks like at the age of 15, Katherine dropped out of school. She's making them smart decisions.
In the words of Bill Wilkins, fuck this shit.
She's fucking out. So when she left school, she didn't really know how to read or write, even though she was 15. How the fuck did that happen?
She really excelled at eating crayons, though.
She liked especially getting those the Crayolas with the pencil sharpener in it. Yeah, she just fucking drank them.
I've heard like part of the senior project in Australia, here in America, I think it's a pretty commonplace where we have to take American government or civics to graduate.
Yeah, civics,
it's kind of like the only senior class you have to take.
And they'll tell you the worst, like the nicest way to paint America like the best place in the world.
Yeah, but in Australia, their senior project, they sit face to face with someone about the same skill level, and they just go back and forth, just like, I can eat 6 crayons, and then the other person will say, I can eat 12 crayons, and then they'll pass it back, and then he'll be like, I can eat 18 crayons, and then whenever they say, all right, eat the 18 crayons, and then if they can eat all the crayons, then they get their diploma. If they don't eat the crayons. They have to leave school like Catherine did.
Okay,
right here.
okay.
But they're not really like crayons; they're rocks. That's why they're fucking. Why their fucking teeth.
All this is a good little right turn there.
All the eyewitnesses here, they're not crayons; they're rocks. And all the eyewitnesses in the videos for this, they keep on bringing these witnesses on the screen, and it's like corner store owner Violet, and she's like, "I saw her walking down the street. She was gone fucking. She was naked from the." And all these people are so, and the people that listen to our show that reach out to us, all normal, wonderfully looking.
So is this like the redneck part of Australia?
Yes, I don't know anything about Australia.
I want to hear from a redneck Australian.
And that's what they said. Well, later in the story, one of them kind of is, but I think this is what we're dealing with.
Is it like the Bayou, like Louisianan people?
Dude, I don't know. Alabama,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. I don't know if there's nice parts of Australia, or they just all. I mean, everyone I've met from there that I've talked to have been incredible people.
Right.
But these people are fucking whack, dude.
They just have a beautiful accent.
And all these interviewees that I observed, fucking whack too, man. They just look like they've been hit in the face with a goddamn cinder block. They're all fucked up.
Well, I don't know, man. After Catherine dropped out of school, she gets a job as a cloth cutter at a clothing factory. It didn't take her long for her dream job to come along, though, so her entire family at one point worked at the local slaughterhouse. She quickly rose through the ranks at the slaughterhouse, where she found her home in the boning department. Giggity.
Well, I try to look this up for you to shine a little light on what the boning department might be at the slaughterhouse. And they didn't even call it a slaughterhouse. It's an arbitral or something like that. I think something like that. It's not even really called a slaughterhouse, but she did work in the boning department. I don't know what the boning department is, but there is.
She was 15. She can't work in a boning department.
Well, there's a common theme with this lady we're talking about, and we'll find out about it a little bit later. So,
okay.
If any of you are Australian slaughterhouse boning department workers, please send us an email, brohiopodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you're doing there in the boning department. If you guys are all fucking each other's puffy nipples and stuff, or if you're just hanging out, showing, like hitting each other with bones, or me and Rob do this thing where we slap our bones together. That's it. That's all we do.
Yeah, it makes a fun noise. Kind of hurts a little bit later, but it's okay.
It doesn't.
So one of the prizes for when you get promoted to the boning department was that you got your very own set of butcher blades. Very nice. So one worker spoke out about how passionate Catherine was about these butcher knives. They were also described some other weirdness about Catherine, of course, because she's not a fucking normal person. She would
speak for yourself, pal.
She would oftentimes inflict small nicks on the main arteries of the animals that were going in for slaughter, just so she could watch them bleed out and die slowly. That's definitely a little crazy.
You're dealing with a stage 5 clinger right here, buddy.
Right.
Sure.
So she loved her butcher knives so much that she would hang them above her bed anywhere she lived in case she needed them in a pinch. Wow.
She should have been a gym teacher for sure. She should have been a gym teacher.
Oh, I bet she was built like one.
Oh, things weren't all bad at the slaughterhouse, though. She met her first sexual partner and eventual boyfriend, David Shorty Collette.
Shorty? Boning department?
And I know what you guys are thinking. You're probably thinking he has a micro penis, which I don't know. They called him Shorty because he was short. He was almost they said anywhere between 8 to 10 inches shorter than Catherine.
Holy shit.
But that was his baby girl.
Hey.
She stood more than a full head taller than him. David was an abusive, hard drinker, much like Catherine's father.
Yeah, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
But this was a match made in heaven, if I've ever seen one. So part of their living situation was they stayed at a local hotel for some time.
Okay.
Oftentimes, David would get really drunk and start fights in or around the bar at the hotel. The problem was, David was the size of a Dollar Tree action figure. He was not very fucking big. He could iron his clothes underneath the door. He would have to get a running start to get on the toilet. There was a lot of stuff, when it comes to David, it's all small talk. So It's just really, sorry. Right before he was about to get his ass kicked in these bar fights, In comes Catherine, stomping through the front doors of the bar.
She's like fucking Shrek.
She would hop in and beat the fuck out of everyone. She was known around town as someone that you could take with you if you needed someone to help you in a fight. This bitch was always down to bang. People would come to her and just be like, I think I'm going to go down there and get my ass kicked if you want to go with me. And she's like, Crookies, I'll go with you. I'll beat the... She would go fight everyone. She would beat the shit out of David all the time because he was little. Lots of people. His sister was interviewed, and she said she's pick him up and throw him.
Holy shit.
Like a fucking lawn dart. Just pick David up and she would pick David up and try and shove him in her butt and stuff. There was all kinds of problems to be had for David for being so short and marrying a goddamn giraffe.
I like your lawn gnome out front. That's not my lawn gnome. That's David.
Whenever they would go to the store, she would just keep him in her pocket. Do you think she had a pouch too?
Probably.
Is it just the koala bears and kangaroos that have pouches there, or do the people have them too?
I mean, they very well might.
I don't think so, because there's this one guy that kept on sending us really derogatory pictures of his penis and stuff, and I never saw a pouch.
Was he Australian?
Yep.
Okay.
For sure. It definitely looked like an Australian dick.
Did you ever see his ass, though?
I think I probably did at one point, yeah.
I said maybe the guys are on their backside.
This guy... Okay, I don't know if I ever told you about this one. In one picture, he had a toothbrush taped around his dick, and he had erect, full mast.
Okay.
And he was able to he was brushing his teeth with his dick. Like, he had the toothbrush taped to the end of the penis, and he could get the toothbrush all the way up to his mouth. And he was
his
like,
dick in his mouth, too?
Nope, just the toothbrush. I don't know if
that's talent.
And he was just, like, shaking and jiving like he was dry fucking the air, but he was brushing his teeth with the toothbrush.
God damn.
Isn't that impressive?
I'm really impressed.
And the coolest part about the whole entire thing, he was a kangaroo. It wasn't even a real human. It was a kangaroo. But no, that really happened. I don't remember the guy's name. But really cool. I was like, man, congratulations, pal. Good job on you, fella. That was super. Yeah, this next one, we're on to you here, Rob Dog.
All right. So in 1974, Catherine demanded that David marry her.
No, and I didn't put this in the research. This is funny. Apparently, they got really drunk. In the one research, it just said she demanded him to marry her, and that was the end of the research. And another part of the research, it says they got drunk, really fucking drunk on a Saturday night, and they woke up Sunday morning, and she's like, oh my God. And she's all sweet on him and stuff. And he's like, why are you being so sweet? She's like, thank you so much for proposing last night.
Oh, no.
He's like, I did what? And he didn't know he proposed to her. But a lot of other people say that she forced him to marry her, which kind of seems like might be
She
true.
strong-armed him.
Because she did that to a lot of guys throughout her life.
Yeah,
This is my favorite part of the story.
Catherine shows up to the wedding ceremony on a motorcycle. On the back of a motorcycle, her groom, David.
She probably had on one of those shirts that said, if you can read this, my bitch fell off. How degrading is it have to a man is that to go to your own wedding?
She's fucking driving the bike and he's sitting, bitch. He's in a sidecar.
He was riding on the back with her hands around, like, his face resting on her back.
His little legs are just flapping in the air. She's going too fast.
He had to use a fucking winch and a crane to carry her into the hotel room at the end of the night.
Oh, shit. So at the wedding, Catherine's own mother, Barbara, came to David and told him, the old girl said to me to watch out. You better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her. She'll fucking kill you.
God damn, Mom.
And that was her mother talking. She told me she's got something loose. She's got a screw loose somewhere. On the wedding night, she tried to kill him via strangulation because he could only have sex with her 3 times and she demanded to go more. She was unsuccessful in the murder attempt. What a lovely lady.
Get over here, dick me down. And the reason This is so weird. And you can remember back in the beginning of the story where we referenced her mom, Barbara, was getting raped 10 plus times per day by her father.
Right.
And then she would go to the girls to tell them kind of the play-by-play of what was going on. Well, apparently at some point during these conversations, Barbara, Catherine's mother, told Catherine that on their wedding night that their dad dicked her down 5 times. So then for the rest of her life,
she had to one up.
In the teenage, no, she thought that that's how it worked. On your wedding night, you get dicked down 5 times. I'm here to tell you, Barbara and Catherine, that is not happening here in America. I don't know.
3 times is good.
Don't know what they're putting in the wallaby milk over there in Australia.
3 times in one night, shit. I could do one at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but...
Yeah. If we're doing like an all-day thing, we might be able to accomplish that.
Right. I'll need to properly hydrate. And
I'm going to need a trough of Gatorade.
A lot of food, because right after I'm done, I need to eat a lot.
Yeah, I need a donut to sit on when I'm done. My ass.
You one of the fucking water bags? The fucking hot water bags?
That was the hardest part about getting my wife to marry her, was telling her that I get just horrible hemorrhoids every time I have sex. Horrible. But we're cool now.
You shouldn't be shoving the dildo in so far.
She just pushes all the stuff back in when we're done.
That's love.
It's fine.
That's love.
So she was under the assumption that on your wedding night, you get it 5 times. So then when Dave gave it to her, there's varying accounts. Some of the accounts say that he only gave it to her twice and then went to bed. And she said, "Oh, no. Wake up. Wake up." And he was not waking up. He was tagged out. He was done. Do you ever do that thing?
I was going to get really loud and I didn't.
No, that's fine.
Catherine want wee. You wake up. Give me more woohoo.
I don't know if you've ever gone through this in your life, Rob, but there's been times in my marriage where I leave her disappointed and I have to promise her that I'll be back in 20 minutes. Like, hey, baby girl.
Shit, sometimes it be like that.
Or I have to pretend to slip and fall and hit my head so I can be done.
Ow, cramp.
Yeah, I know I win, but I can't. I'm trying to. And you have to promise to come back in 20 minutes. I don't know if you ever do that, but I always fall asleep.
Just go to sleep, yeah.
I'll be back in 20 minutes. And I lay there like the Undertaker for the rest of the night. Rest in. Have you watched the documentary?
Not yet. No,
man, it's so good. You'll have such new perspective on the Undertaker.
Yeah.
It's marvelous.
I need to.
Now, both of these fools, David and Catherine, they remained drunk for the majority of their marriage.
God bless them.
Now, it did not take David very long to decide that he wanted something else. In May of 1976, shortly after the birth of their first daughter, David left with another woman and moved to Queensland.
Oof.
The pain of dealing with Catherine's constant violent attacks was too much for him, and he had to skip town, unfortunately leaving behind his new baby girl.
Oof.
The day after David left town, Catherine was seen pushing the baby in a stroller down the street, or a fucking budgie or whatever. She was pushing the baby in a stroller and thrashing the stroller from side to side. By standards, people that were watching were very concerned about Catherine's behavior, and they called the police.
Good.
She was thrashing this thing. At one point, they thought that she was going to launch the baby into traffic.
Oh, my God.
And this is the day after her husband left her. Catherine was admitted to St. Elmo's Hospital in Tamworth, where she was diagnosed with postnatal depression and spent several weeks recovering. After she was released from St. Elmo's Hospital, Catherine placed 2-month-old Melissa, which was their new baby, on a railway. She put the baby on the train tracks.
Jesus.
This was shortly before the train was due to leave town and ultimately run the baby over on the train tracks. She then, after she put the baby on the tracks, stole an axe and went into town and threatened to kill people over and over and over again. She just ran around town, just threatened to kill people with a fucking axe, all the while her baby's sitting on the train tracks. A man known in town simply as Old Ted.
I want like an old person in my neighborhood. They just call like old so-and-so.
Old Ted.
That's old Bob down the road.
Yeah. That's old Rob.
Yeah, old
It's
Rob. Maybe I could be that guy.
He's known for his hand jobs. He only does dogs now, though. He doesn't do humans anymore. He's getting old.
He'll give you the best over-under this side of the Mississippi.
He's a support animal. I need a support animal. Like something that really scares people when I take it into a store. Like a fucking kimono dragon.
Like a brown bear.
Where's your popsicles? So she's threatening people to kill them with axes, and we enter old Ted. He was foraging near the railway line, and he found baby Melissa right as the train was about to leave town. Ugh. Katherine was again arrested and taken to St. Elmo's Hospital, but apparently she recovered in just a day because the very next day she signed herself out. And she got out of the St. Elmo's Hospital there.
Katherine, you need to come back over here right now. You need to quit leaving your baby. And you need to sit in this hospital. And you need to be good. I don't care if we had the same color hair.
Dude, my mom and dad tried this shit with me. I was on a bad path, doing bad shit. Uh-huh. I was sucking dick for Pogs and Pokemon cards. Fucking don't spit your beer out. Hold on a second, I'm not done with the story.
Fucking Pogs.
I was sucking dick for Pogs and 3D Doritos and Dunkaroos and shit.
Oh, Dunkaroos, that's worth it.
And I was up in the police station there, and they brought one of these stupid fucking Sesame Street dolls to talk to me. Those things are just puppets, man.
They really are.
They're just things sitting on a guy's hand. So I wasn't buying it. I kept on sucking dick for Pogs. I was sucking dick for Sega Genesis games. I was doing whatever I needed to do to get my next fix, is what I was doing.
Right.
So many
of us had to.
Somebody walked up with some Pokemon cards. I was sucking a dick. Whatever it was. Someone walked up with a Crossfire board game. I was sucking dick.
The best game theme song ever.
Crossfire! Crossfire! Someone walked up with some Nickelodeon moon shoes.
Oh, dude, those were the shit.
I 69'd them. Right there on the spot. I ate the booty like a 6-inch sub from Subway.
Yeah.
Did you ever suck any penises for toys as a child?
No, but I did one time, you mentioned the moon shoes. I like a lot of kids our age, I wanted nothing more than to go to Nickelodeon and get slimed.
Oh, yeah.
Until one time I finally went, and I got to meet Mark Summers, and he took me into the office, and he slimed me, and I never wanted to go again. It wasn't green, either. It tasted really bad.
He was a germaphobe, too. I'm surprised he had anything to do with you. Little fucking dirtball from Northridge.
No, I'm just joking. I never have.
He probably listens to the show. He's not famous anymore, so
I always wanted to. Yeah.
We don't really want to interview him.
Yeah, the final obstacle course on Double Dare.
Yeah,
God, dude, I want to do that. I got to see it in studio one time. It was pretty dope. But
Global Guts is my shit.
Global
too.
Guts is sweet.
Yes, that was all very good stuff.
Mo, remember Mo?
I do remember Mo. Mike O'Malley.
Mike O'Malley, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Hello. We are back again this week. Again to tell you about our favorite sponsor, Blue Chew.
When we first started this sponsorship with Blue Chew, we weren't sure which way it was going to go. We have heard rave reviews from our listeners, Rob Dog. They are beating down our fucking email. They want to know how they can get some Blue Chew.
They sure are. Blue Chew is helping guys like me and guys like you to get that extra boost so we can take things to a whole new level in the bedroom.
Blue Chew, just like Blue Balls, the color blue, it's got the same FDA-approved active ingredients that are used in Cialis and Viagra, but it's all in a chewable tablet, so it's going to reach it's going to reach the places that it needs to go a lot faster because it's not something you're swallowing, you're chomping on it, going straight in your stomach, and it's doing good, big things for you.
That is absolutely right. And even if you aren't having problems down there, Blue Chew can still pump you up so you can
keep the party going all night long.
Oh my God! And that's what I want to tell you. We had our live show in Louisville this weekend. I took a Blue Chew. Rob, I didn't go once. I didn't go twice. I didn't go 3 times. I went 4 times. The Grand Slam. 4 times. The maintenance guy comes upstairs. He's like, hey, I think your air conditioner's broken. I said, no, buddy, that's me. I just got done fucking my wife for the 4th time.
That's bragging rights right there. I haven't done that in years. So, guys, if you want a free, yes, that's right, you didn't hear wrong. I said free order of Blue Chew delivered to your front door in a discreet package. Hop on over to BlueChew.com and use the promo code BROHIO for your free order. You will not be sorry.
And if you want to go back to back, just like the old delicious Nickalicious, check them out. That's BLUECHEW.com, BlueChew.com. Use the promo code BROHIO. That's Brohio. Don't miss this incredible offer.
Stop disappointing your lady.
Katherine was, let's see.
No ifs, ands, or buts. These kids got guts.
Sucking dick for dogs, dude. And she checked herself out of St. Elmo's Hospital. A few days later, she got into a scuffle with another woman. But this is where another part of my research was kind of crazy. The one research said she's got in a scuffle with a woman and cut her face. The other one says she went to her neighbor and said, quick, take me to the hospital. My baby's sick. I need to go to the hospital. So the neighbor took her, and somehow at some point, with a fucking axe or knife, Katherine Knight abducted an entire family.
Holy shit.
And I don't know, I can't nail it down what for sure happened. But she did demand that the woman drive her to Queensland so she could locate her husband, David, who had left her. And on the way, on the way to Queensland, the woman had the abducted children in the car with her, and she said, please stop and let me take and drop off my son. He's asthmatic. I don't want him to die. Catherine's like, okay, we can do that. But then when they got to the service station, they let the boy out, but the woman who had her face slashed escaped as well. Police showed up, and they had to, I don't know if they don't carry guns in Australia or what the police do, but
boomerangs.
They subdued her with a goddamn broom. They had to beat her with a
broom?
Yes, they beat this bitch with a broom.
They don't carry around guns, but they have brooms. God, I fucking love Australia.
So when we're done taking your pot, we can clean your house. I don't know how that happened or how that went down, but that's what happened right there.
That's so good.
She, like I said, she was disarmed by the police, and they used brooms to attack her with. After the incident, she was admitted to Moorset Psychiatric Hospital. Katherine told the nurses that she had complete intentions to kill the mechanic at the service station because he had repaired David's car, which allowed David to go on the run.
Motherfucker's just doing his job.
But she was going there to kill him.
Jeez.
She also had intentions to kill both her husband, David, and his mother, who, David's mother was a very sweet lady. She was in a lot of interviews. But Katherine had complete intentions of murdering both of them when she arrived in Queensland.
You think you would have took the advice of saying she's got some fucking screws loose. She's gonna kill you while you sleep if you ever do anything.
When her own mom says that?
Yeah. You think you should get the fuck out by, like, oh God.
You gotta go. Even if you got a little bitty piggly wiggly and you never dicked a real woman down before, you gotta cut your losses at that point and get out of there.
Man.
You gotta do a barrel roll. If they do barrel rolls in Australia.
It's a budgie roll.
It's a budgie roll. It's a qual kick.
Qual kick.
When police informed David of the incident, could you imagine the fucking shock that he was on when he heard all this?
That'd have been terrifying.
We think there's someone that's coming to look for you. This is all. She was gonna fucking kill him, and then everyone that helped him along the way. She stopped to fight the air machine too at the gas station because he used that to fill his tires, but she didn't get very much further past that.
Man.
When David was informed that she did all of these things, he left his girlfriend, who he had ran away with, and moved back home with he moved to Aberdeen with his mother in order to get Katherine. They bailed her out of the psychiatric hospital. After this major incident, Katherine was released on August 9th, 1976. In 1976, like I said, she was released to the care of her mother-in-law and her husband, David, where they would move to Woodridge, which is a suburb of Brisbane. which we learned to
Brisbane,
pronounce that from
not Brisbane.
Nate. Was that it? Is it Nate? I think it's Nate.
Yep.
And Natasha.
Natasha.
Wonderful people.
Lovely people.
The day after she was released from the mental hospital, David, his mother, and Catherine all drove to Aberdeen to pick up baby Melissa from Catherine's mother's house, Barbara. Mind you, Barbara is a crazy fucking bitch too, just like Catherine.
Right.
When they arrived at the house, Barbara came outside and tried to drag David out of the car in an attempt to kill him. David, he latched onto the steering wheel to save himself from being pulled outside the vehicle. From out of nowhere, RKO style, Catherine runs up and punches her mom in the fucking head and knocks her out, knocking her to the ground.
Holy shit.
David's mother was in the back seat. I would like to describe David's mother as much like my mom. She's probably only seen one wiener in her entire life, and she's just not had a lot of life experience. And she's not used to seeing, women duking it out on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. But his mom is in the back seat. She's screaming her lungs out, freaking the fuck out. For the next several years, there were many instances of David being unfaithful and leaving his family, coming back, leaving, coming back, these long periods of time. Although David was unfaithful, on Catherine's 21st birthday, he planned a surprise birthday party that did catch Catherine completely off guard. People interviewed said how wonderfully and how happy Catherine was that night. David and Catherine couldn't keep their hands off one another, and all they did was, people interviewed said they were just kissing all night long. They couldn't stop kissing. And it's really hard for me to differentiate the difference in accents between British and Australians. It's hard to do the different accents. So for the 3 listeners we have in Great Britain, no offense to you, you probably think everyone in Australia are just redneck hillbillies.
I was going to say, it sounds like the same exact accent, but Australian sounds like they're like cool hillbillies.
Yeah, it's like if you had like a DIY human, you're trying to make a DIY British person, you had to do the act, you just like, that's what you get is the kind of that, has like some gravel in it.
It's kind of the same thing. I think it's any place that you can surf at, you're going to have a weird tone to your accent.
Yeah, but everyone from overseas.
Think about in California, they're just like, fucking, yeah, dude. All right.
Yeah, dude. Pooping on the sidewalk.
Fuck yeah, man.
Government has no fucking money, dude.
San Francisco can't do shit right now, dude. I can do crack and just get a citation.
Not even that.
Yeah.
Not even that. Free. It's like a goddamn free-for-all out there.
San Francisco's hurting right now.
That's so much fun. We should go there. We could definitely get fucked out there, Rob.
You almost did.
Enough with these Ohio fat boys. Yeah, I did almost get fucked in San Francisco. Oh, although, like I said, they had the 21st birthday. That was perfect. That was a perfect night. But at some points, the bottom just dropped out on this thing. Either in Queensland or Aberdeen, I couldn't figure it out. David's sister, Sandy, moved in with them briefly. She entered the bathroom at one point and saw Catherine holding one of the babies under scalding hot tap water.
Oh, my God.
She immediately went to David to tell him what happened. David begged and pleaded his sister not to confront Catherine, as he thought Catherine would kill him and kill Sandy in their sleep if she was triggered. That's how afraid of this woman David was. Not to mention the bitch slept with butcher knives above her bed. She was crazy. She was, she left her. The crazy part for me is you look at all the crimes she's committed. The leaving the baby on the railroad tracks, the slicing the lady's face up at the gas station.
Attempted murder.
And each time she just tells the police, oh, I'll try harder to be better next time. And she gets right out of it.
Well, it's because they show up with fucking brooms attached to their duty belt.
He's like, listen, I was about to arrest him. I saw her punch her husband in the face and break his skull. We're not going to arrest her. Unless you got something besides that duster there in the back of your car. We're going to need a bigger broom than that.
I don't like my chances.
They did stay together after these extramarital affairs, and they moved to Landsborough. I'm sorry, but to go back here, in 1979, David caught Katherine in bed with another man.
Oh.
And at that point, he was all but done with the marriage. Katherine begged him to stay. They did stay and then moved to Lansborough, where they had a second child. At this point, after the second child, this is when she reached her most unstable mental state. One evening, David went to play in a dart competition. Not a butt dart competition like we play here in the Brohio studios, but a real live throwing needles through the air into a wooden board dartboard competition. That night, David was playing pretty well, and he made it to the finals. And I guess the only unfortunate part of making the dart finals was, besides the fact that you're a fucking loser, it meant that you had to stay really late. No, I know lots of people that play darts. That's a hard one to master, dude.
It is. It's fun too, though.
It's a fun game, really fun game. But he made it to the dart finals, so then he was going to be out a lot later than anticipated. Something you don't want to do with old nasty Kath.
Not old big Kathy.
We'll call her Catheter Kathy. That's what it was like to be married to her, is ripping the fucking catheter out.
Oh, God.
So he finally, at this point, Katherine was, I think I got him kind of out of order here, but she was 8 to 9 months pregnant with the second child. Oh, God, this is terrible. And when he arrived home that evening, she picked up a frying pan and she hit David in the fucking head and collapsed and fractured his skull.
Oh, my gosh.
He stumbled off the property into a neighbor's property where he collapsed. And the only reason she hit him with a frying pan is because he got home late from the dart competition. Local paramedics were hailed to the scene, and they treated David and took him to the hospital with a badly fractured skull. Police, again, wanted to press charges against Katherine, Catheter Kathy, but she promised to be on her best behavior for the rest of all time.
The rest of all time?
That sounds like some shit I'd tell my mom when I was little. Call her and see what the fuck she would say. I always got grounded for not cleaning my room, dude. I always got fucking grounded for it. And I would just have to go reason with her. It was like trying to make a deal with the devil. I'd be like, all right. I would just promise to do stuff that I didn't know how to do. I'll say, I will do all of the laundry for the next 3 months.
I'll go change your brakes right now.
I don't even know where the fucking washer and dryer is, but I'm promising to do all the laundry. Oh, man, it works sometimes, but not often.
Right, yep.
David was at the hospital with a fractured skull for about a week after he was hit in the head with a goddamn frying pan.
I would just be like, can I live here, please? Please just take me.
I just can't. I did not want to come here. My wife tried to kill me. She hit me in the head. And now when I fart, I can't open my eyes back up.
Poor guy.
How hard did he? That must have been a cast iron.
It had to have been
skillet.
cast iron.
It wasn't that fucking Pyrex shit we use here in
No.
Ohio. It was some nasty cast iron.
Yeah, it's like a 45-pound cast iron pan.
But she was a big old bitch.
She picked it up like it was nothing.
She probably hit him with an oven. Just picked the whole whirlpool, picked him up and hit him in the back of the head with it. Fractured his skull, man. When he arrived home from the hospital, he discovered that Katherine had taken all of his belongings, his shoes, his socks, his jeans, his shirts, everything he owned, put it in the bathtub, and set it all on fire.
Dang.
Oh, man. This isn't even the most conniving thing that she did either. But it's a different guy. In 1980, she gave birth to their second daughter. David had taken a job with a moving company that involved him being on the road a lot. And this was too much for their relationship. And Katherine packed up all of her belongings, the children, hers, and she left David permanently this time. She went to Aberdeen to live with her family. She wasn't without companionship for very long in Aberdeen, though. She met local 38-year-old man named David. It's another David. David Saunders in 1986. He was a coal miner. Just a few months after meeting one another, David moved in with Katherine and her 2 daughters. David would move back and forth between Katherine's home and his apartment, as she would kick him out all the time due to her belief that he was messing around with other swamp donkeys behind her back. Every time she kicked him out, she would beg him to return. But in May of 1987, she slit the throat of his 2-month-old dingo puppy.
Holy fuck.
To show an example of what she would do to him if he tried to leave her or tried to cheat on her. A few moments later, she would go on to knock him unconscious with a frying pan.
Oh, wow.
She
Has an MO.
He had a thicker skull, though.
Yeah.
She couldn't break that one.
Jeez.
He killed her, slit his puppy's throat, though. What a wild bitch, man.
I mean, the dingo could have ate their baby.
It could have. That happens in Australia, too, man.
Yep.
Look it up. That's one of our old episodes.
It is.
A dingo ate my baby. He, too, would eventually go on. David Saunders would go on to have a daughter with Katherine. Katherine decorated. They saved up enough money that they bought a house to move into. They were kind of bouncing back and forth, but they did save up and they bought a house. Katherine, Kathy, was in charge of decorating this home. Throughout the home, there were animal skins, skulls, horns, rusty animal traps, leather jackets, old boots, machetes, rakes, and pitchforks. No space, including the ceilings, was left uncovered.
There was no wallpaper. It was just Marlboro wrappings.
It was pubic shavings, and there was a video of them walking through her house, and every inch of the walls and ceiling are covered in the wildest shit, dude. It looks like Crocodile Dundee made a fucking baby with Steve Irwin and the thing exploded. It's wild shit, too. He tried. David Saunders, much like the husband before him, well, they weren't married yet. He tried over and over and over again to escape the grasps of Katherine. In one incident, Saunders arrived home late, much like the gentleman before him. After arrival, Katherine stabbed him in the stomach with a pair of scissors.
Holy shit.
And hit him in the face with a hot iron.
Oh my god. She fucking Kevin McAllister'd his ass.
They said he had scald marks all over his face for a few weeks after that from where she whacked him in the face with a hot iron.
Just like Marv.
And they said that it wasn't like a confrontation. She was like hiding behind the door waiting for him to come in with a fucking hot iron ready to crush him in the back of the face.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a psycho.
She's wild. You talk about them redheads, 1 or a 10. She was definitely a 10. Eventually, he took leave from the mine and told his wife he was going to see a friend in another town. In all actuality, he was skipping town in an attempt to run away from her forever, rightfully so.
Yeah.
She told her children that David Saunders, he fucking died because she couldn't find him like she did the husband before that.
He must have did a damn good job. Good for him.
She had no idea where he went, but she did tell the children that he died, but he did not die. While attempting to find David Saunders, she met John Chillingworth, and this was in 1990.
That sounds like a really distinguished name.
It does. It was. He was
Don Chillingworth.
I don't know what you call a hillbilly in Australia, but he was one of those.
Okay.
Several months later, David Saunders returned to see his daughter and found that Katherine had gone to the police and told them she was afraid of him, and they issued her with an apprehended violence order against him.
So a restraining order, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. And shortly after meeting John Chillingworth, Katherine became pregnant with John's child. John was a 43-year-old man that worked in the slaughterhouse that I believe Katherine was working in as well. At some point, she became disabled, and she just quit fucking working altogether. She just kind of hung out and didn't really do much.
Katherine can have like 5 different baby daddies, and some of y'all can't even get a call back.
It's harsh. The following year, they gave birth to a baby boy named Eric, who would forever be fucking cursed in the name of Christ. They would eventually split up because Katherine had an affair with a man named
fucking John Price.
John Price.
John Price.
John Price was a father of 3 children when she had an affair with him. He was known around town as a terrific bloke, and he was liked by everyone. His last marriage ended in 1988. While his 2-year-old daughter remained with his former wife, the 2 older children lived with him. Price knew all about Katherine's violent tendencies, but he decided to push them to the side and allowed her to move into his house in 1995. And at first, they talked that his children, loved Katherine, thought she was wonderful. But the one common theme with all these men, when you talk to the men's friends and the people around them, their families, they all raved about the sex with Katherine. that she was just a wild cat in the bedroom, and that was the only thing that made it worthwhile. She would lick all the corners, hit all the nooks and crannies, buddy.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? No, don't that. It doesn't matter what doesn't matter what she looks like if she's sucking on your beehole.
Apparently not.
If she's sucking on your butt nut. Doesn't matter what she looks like.
She's knuckle deep in your milk dud.
If she's looks like a mud duck, it doesn't matter if she's sucking on your butt nut. So that's all Nicolicious has to say about that. Sure, right there. He was and he was making a lot of money. I mean, he was making hand over fist. He was a very he had a lot of money.
Off.
Yes,
Yeah.
very well off. And he worked in the mines as well. And they shared a wonderful relationship at first. In 1998, they had a fight over John Price's refusal to marry her. That's all she wanted was for her. She wanted to marry John Price, and he made it completely clear that all he wanted was sex from her. He did not want to fucking marry the bitch. But the reason that she demanded him to marry her, she was going through his will and testament, and she found out that he was leaving everything he had to his ex-wife. But Katherine wasn't married to him yet, so presumably he just hadn't made the arrangements to change the will yet. And he said, "No, I'm not changing the will." And she said, "I'll go away right now, but you have to give me $10,000." And he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!
Right.
I'm not giving you $10,000." So in order to get back at her, and I told you earlier in the episode, I said, "Man, I'm going to tell you some conniving shit this bitch did."
Okay, great. Let's get into it.
In order to get back at John, Katherine videotaped items that he had stolen from work. These were expired first aid kits that he was scrounging up while working in the mines that he brought home with him. She took videotapes of these quote-unquote stolen medical kits and sent the video to his boss. And he was immediately relieved from his job working in the mine, where he was making an incredible lifestyle for him and his family. Talk about some conniving, fucking wild-ass shit, dude.
Yeah, that's super shitty.
He had been working at the mine for 17 years, and he was fired over these medical kits that were expired, and they were left at the bottom of the mine. You know, these guys were using them they're just there in case of emergency, and they would expire, and they're just going to throw them in the trash, and he would take them home, and then she dined him out for this shit. That same day, he kicked her out, and she returned to her own home while news of what she had done spread through the town. And I guess everybody in the town was pretty pissed off at her. A few months later, John Price restarted the relationship.
Oh, my God.
But he said under one rule, you are not allowed to move back in with me. You are not allowed to move into my house. But that sex was so good. From Catheter Kathy. She was so good with it. She was so good at flipping that thing around. These men would just keep crawling back.
Wild.
The fighting between the two became a lot more frequent, and his friends would no longer have anything to do with him as long as he was still in a relationship with her. So he lost all of his friends due to this fucking bitch. They wouldn't even hang out with John or talk to John anymore as long as he maintained a relationship with Katherine. John's children started to notice how crazy Katherine was becoming. In an interview, they said oftentimes she would swerve while they were driving to hit dogs that were walking near the side of the road. And when they would ask her, "What the fuck are you doing?" she would just say that she didn't like dogs. And this was kind of a red flag. That's a good... If you walk in the bathroom and your stepmom's eating shit out of the toilet, that's a pretty good sign that she's crazy. But also if she tries to run over and squash dogs on the side of the road, that's also a pretty good sign that she's crazy. She looked at and when John, he would oftentimes upset her, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
And she would take it out on the children as well. She wouldn't beat them. She wouldn't hurt them. She would set these young children down and tell them that their father wasn't really their dad, that they were conceived in an affair, in an extramarital, they were not a product of their father, that they didn't know their real dads, that their mother had cheated on their dad, and they were the product of sinful relationship. And she would sit down and tell these little kids this shit in order to try and alienate them away from their father.
Wow.
What a
That's conniving.
God, that's sticking the dagger in.
She needs to get a frying pan upside the head.
She needs some. She's still alive right now, so we can go to wherever she's at and, I don't know, piss on her, whatever you want to do.
The biggest trailer park in Australia.
No, she's in prison.
Okay, good.
By late 1990, well, at this point, her two youngest kids became old enough to enter school, and she sent them to school all day. But while they were at school, she would sit on the couch and watch horror movies and watch people get fucking killed. She
probably not the best environment for her.
No, well, it worked for her, for sure. This is exactly what she wanted.
Well, yeah.
By late 1999, John was desperately trying to escape from Katherine. Katherine was trying to desperately she was trying to desperately keep John around. There was a series of fights at some point between Katherine and John that culminated with Katherine eventually stabbing John in the chest with a knife. The next day at work, John showed his coworkers the stab wounds on his chest. They begged and pleaded with him to go to the courts, to which he obliged. The courts advised it would take 3 weeks or more for the court proceedings, and there wasn't anything that they could do for him in the meantime. And his children in these interviews, they say he knew that he was going to fucking die. He knew that she was going to kill him, and that his feeling was, I have to let her do what she's going to do, or else it's going to be somebody else. It's going to be my kids. It's going to be my family. It's going to be another man around town. She's going to kill somebody. But I have to keep her close to me so that if she does hurt anybody, it's me and not somebody else.
That's some hero thinking right there.
It is, and the people that speak about John, they say that that's the kind of guy he was. He was a good fucking down home, for all
super solid guy,
super Aussie man. He was a super solid bloke, is what everybody would say about him. John, like I said, he was very concerned that Katherine would kill his children if given the opportunity. To John's surprise, when he arrived home from work that day, Katherine was not there. Katherine was actually at her daughter's house with a video camera where she was getting what she thought would be final videos with her family. And she was also kind of, I guess in the video, there was like some subliminal, I guess, she was trying to allude to her last will and what she wanted done as far as her last will and whatnot. She also purchased a black nightie that night that she was going to wear when she fucked John later while acting out some type of wild fantasy. I'm not sure.
Maybe pretending that she was somebody else.
My wife makes me wear a black nightie when we're role playing too. I'm like, doesn't it bother you that you can see my nuts? She's like, that's what I want. The fatter the fupa, the sweeter the chalupa. It's the nastiest thing. She's the one that told me that. She's like, you know what you should use for your show? I was like, what? Usually she tells me something stupid. That's the thing about women. They're funny like 1 out of 10 times. When they are funny, it's really, really funny. But the 9 times they're not funny, you feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
You still laugh anyways.
Yeah, you gotta let them know they're not.
But 1 out of 10 times, she'll hit me with a real zinger, and that she's like, "What about like the sweeter the chalupa? So the fatter the fupa, the sweeter the chalupa." Yeah, let's use that. Let's go with that. And then also, she's like, "You should tell everyone that every time they take a shower, you should wash your asshole like you're gonna get your ass eaten, just in case."
I always do. People that don't do that,
I don't ever wash my asshole. That'd be fucking gross, dude.
Dude, I'm always back there with my fucking soap.
This is really scary. I'm a bar soap kind of guy for whatever reason. I like to alternate. One time, this is a true fucking story. I had a bar soap that kind of worked down to about a quarter of its size.
Right.
And I have a lot of different methods of washing. I put it on the washcloth last, and sometimes I'll use the washcloth to clean my ass last. But this time I left the soap in the washcloth for whatever reason. I'm back there scrubbing my ass, and I swear to God, dude, the bar of soap went into my ass. Like, this is not. I'm not even fucking kidding. I didn't realize I still had the soap inside the washcloth. And this motherfucker, it's like a hockey puck going in your ass. This hurts so goddamn bad. And I'm just thinking, how do people put stuff in their butt, man? If you have to work, can you just show up and handle like an 8-incher? Is that how it works, or is that something you have to work up to?
I think you have to work up to it. I would assume.
I don't know, man, but god damn that thing about fucking little
I don't use washcloths, man.
quarter.
I'll work up the lather in my hand and just fucking go at it with my hands.
I use my fingernails. And
Yeah, scratch at it. I don't use the bar of soap in my ass, but I don't like keep the bar of soap in my hand while I'm washing my ass crack. But
It's a very unfortunate series of events when you lose that bar of soap in your butt.
It's like, damn, babe, I just had a bar of soap in here. It's gone.
Where's that Irish Springs I had in here?
Farting bubbles.
You check your ass.
Found it.
Your farts smell extra clean.
I love Irish Springs. That's good stuff too.
It is. I use Dove.
Dove's good stuff.
Yeah.
That really gets you clean. Get you a real clean asshole.
Yep, smelling like a bird.
A bird?
Dove.
Oh, okay. I get it. Like, what the fucking kind of bird you hang out with? So she got this black nightie to act out this weird fantasy.
Okay.
She arrived at John's house at around 11:30 p.m. She sat down, she watched some TV, and she took a shower. Then she climbed. She took a shit.
Took a shit.
Then she climbed in bed with John, and they had sex. That next day, John's coworkers noticed that he was not at work, and they were instantly worried and knew the worst. They contacted the local authorities, and immediately they went to John's home. They forced their way into the house, and they found Katherine overdosed on the bed, but still alive. John's children claimed that when she was brought out of the house, she smiled at them, and she seemed completely sane as any regular person. I couldn't have captured it any better as Wikipedia did, so this last portion here is actually...
That's me.
From the Wikipedias.
All right. So she had stabbed Price with a butcher's knife while he was sleeping. According to the blood evidence, he awoke and tried to turn on the light before attempting to escape. While Knight chased him through the house, he managed to open the front door and get outside, but either stumbled back inside or was dragged back into the hallway, where he finally died after bleeding out. Later, Knight went into Aberdeen and withdrew $1,000 from Price's ATM account.
Oh, shit.
She's already taken.
Gold digging bitch.
Exactly. So Price's autopsy revealed that he had been stabbed at least 37 times in both the front and the back of his body, with many of the wounds extending into vital organs. Several hours after Price had died, Knight skinned him and hung the skin from a meat hook on the, I don't even know what that is, the architrave of the door to the lounge room. She then decapitated him and cooked parts of his body, serving up the meat with baked potato, pumpkin, zucchini, cabbage, yellow squash, and gravy in 2 settings at the dinner table, along with a note beside each plate each having the name of one of Price's children on it. She was preparing to serve his body to his children.
Oh my God. So they must have been home for this, which I couldn't... Yeah, I guess they would have been, because they saw...
I mean, and not even that I've ever thought about it, but I feel like that's probably a good pairing of food with human.
Yeah, all you had to do to get me to eat somebody's ass is put some potatoes with it, and I'll do it.
Exactly.
I don't know about the pumpkins and shit.
Yeah, that's a little extra, but it's okay.
Fucking weird-ass Australian eating pumpkins for breakfast.
So a third meal was thrown on the back lawn for unknown reasons, and it's speculated Knight had attempted to eat it, but could not. And this had been put forward in support of her claim that she had no memory of the crime.
She threw her plate out the window.
Oh, fuck this!
This total tastes like shit! Tourette's guy.
Price's head was found in a pot with vegetables. The pot was still warm and estimated to be between 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. That's like 400 or 500 degrees in Fahrenheit.
Who knows what the fuck that is?
Who fucking knows? Indicating that the cooking had taken place in the early morning. Sometime later, Knight arranged the body with the left arm draped over an empty 1 1/4 liter soft drink bottle with the legs crossed.
Why?
Classy.
This was claimed in court to be an act of defilement, demonstrating Knight's contempt for Price. Knight had left a handwritten note on top of a photograph of Price, bloodstained and covered with small pieces of flesh. The note read, "Time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter." Jesus, this is how it's really spelled.
Yeah, sure she dropped out of school. She couldn't read or write.
Okay, so raping, but it's spelled with 2 P's.
Rapping.
Yeah, rapping. Daughter is spelled D-O-U-T-R.
Like router?
Yeah, exactly. U to Beck, Price's daughter, for Ross, for Little John, his son. Now play with Little John's dick's... Now play with Little John's dick, John Price. Jesus, this is written by a complete fucking...
psychopath.
Yeah. That's a good.
I would probably cut somebody up if they mess with my router too, though. Because my fucking kids are assholes when the Wi-Fi goes out. I'm chopping a body up for sure if someone messes with my router.
So the accusations in the note were found to be groundless, of course. So here's the trial. So Knight's initial offer to plead guilty to manslaughter was rejected, and she was arraigned on the 2nd of February 2001 on the charge of murdering Price, to which she entered a plea of not guilty. Her trial was initially fixed for the 23rd of July, but was adjourned due to her counsel's illness, and was refixed for the 15th of October. That's July, August, September. That's 3 months later. When the trial commenced, Justice Barry O'Keefe. Sorry.
It's Queef. I looked it up. It's Queef.
Ordered the 60 jury prospects the option of being excused due to the nature of the photographic evidence, which 5 accepted. When the witness list was read... Wow, okay. I'll just skip over that there.
Okay. All right.
In case you didn't hear, someone shit their pants. When the witness list was read out to the prospects, several more also dropped out, which the jury was impaneled. Knight's attorney then spoke to the judge, who adjourned to the following day. The next morning, Knight changed her plea to guilty, and the jury was dismissed. It was now made public that Justice O'Keefe had been advised of the plea change the day before. He had adjourned the trial and then ordered a psychiatric assessment overnight to determine if Knight understood the consequences of a guilty plea and if she was fit to make such plea. Knight's legal team had planned to defend Knight by claiming amnesia and dissociation, a claim supported by most psychiatrists, although they did consider her sane.
Well, I did look up some of the psychiatrists that were interviewed for this. The dissociation, whenever she was young, whenever she was 4 or 5 years old, and this goes for the same for a lot of people, she would have watched her mother get beat. And essentially, in young children at that age, they're at an age where they're learning to be humans. They're learning to feel sad. They're learning to feel happy. They're learning all the different emotions and the emotional roller coaster it is to be a human. But when you watch your mom get stomped out and you watch your mom get raped 10 times a day, all this stuff, you learn to disassociate your feelings and you become kind of like disconnected. And that's what the psychiatrists claim happened to her, is at such a young age, she learned to just turn her feelings off and feel nothing, because she would see all these horrible things happen at a time when she was so formative and she should be essentially turning into the human that she should become. She never learned. She never learned to become a human. She was never taught to feel compassion, love. She's never taught when it's okay to be upset, when it's not okay to be upset.
Yeah.
She just was all this. She was ruined essentially from such a young age.
Right. So pretty much it's just the normal act of acting like a human.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being raised by wolves, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be sniffing asses.
Or maybe you raise your son, he sucks dick for pogs.
God forbid.
You never know. Sorry, Dad.
So no reason has ever been given for the guilty plea, and despite giving it, Knight still refused to accept responsibility for her actions. At the sentencing hearing, Knight's lawyer requested that Knight be excused to avoid hearing some of the facts, but the application was refused. When Dr. Timothy Lyons took the stand and described the skinning and decapitation, Knight became hysterical and had to be sedated.
Oh, wow.
On November 8th,
Justice O'Keefe pointed out that the nature of the crime and Knight's lack of remorse required a severe penalty. He sentenced her to her entire life in being imprisonment. She refused to fix a non-parole period and ordered that her papers be marked never to be released. The time that this had been imposed on a woman, the first time this had been imposed on a woman in Australian history.
Wow.
Which I would say rightfully so.
Yeah,
rightfully so. If you're going to completely dismantle a person's body and then try to feed that body to their kids, you definitely don't need to be out.
I don't mind her trying to feed him to the kids, but then she put pumpkins in it, and that's what really grossed me out.
And she wasted her portion.
Yeah.
Fucking chucked it out the door.
Total tastes like shit.
Take that, you fucking dingoes! So in June 2006, Knight appealed the life sentence, claiming that a penalty of life in jail without possibility of parole was too severe for the killing. Justices Peter McClellan, Michael Adams, and Megan Latham dismissed the appeal in the NSW Court of Criminal Appeal in September, with Justice McClellan writing in his judgment, "This was an appalling crime almost beyond contemplation in a civilized society."
Guilty.
Rightfully denied.
In prison
Yeah.
forever.
Right.
Redhead. Not a 10.
But a 1.
Very big. Very scary. Ate her husband.
An affinity for head wounds via cooking utensils.
Frying pans. That makes Rapunzel and Tangled look like a real bitch because she beat the shit out of Flynn Rider with that frying pan over and over. But he bounced back. He was a real motherfucker.
He wasn't no bitch.
Soft-ass dudes dating Katherine Knight.
Man.
Good night, Kathy. And if you are listening to us, baby girl, on a smuggled cell phone, whatever prison you're at, don't email us. You are a fucking bush hog. You're rough.
I gotta see.
You are rough.
I gotta take a look at her real quick.
Okay. My name's Bill Wilkins, and I'm 73 years old, and I died in my own shit.
She does look like a gym teacher.
Yeah, dude, she's rough.
Wow.
I think Bill showed up. He was trying to date her for a second, but he
Yeah.
left. She looks like she got hit with a bag of what the fuck, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
All right, guys, thank you so much for capturing this episode of the Brohio podcast. What we might be doing is releasing another episode.
Okay.
I talked to a well-traveled old biker chick while I was in Michigan. She rolled with the Hells Angels for a bit. She was a club girl, did a lot of their dirty work. They would oftentimes task her with getting men all hot and heavy and taking them out to the parking lot so they could beat the fuck out of them. And
Hell
she
yeah.
talks about those tales. She talks about crystal meth and how it used to be her favorite drug of choice.
Nice.
So,
God bless her.
I've got that on the SD card. So hopefully we'll serve that up with this as well.
That's dope.
Because the ads go pay us money, and when we release content, the ads play and we get paid, and then we can quit our jobs.
Yeah.
We can become big famous podcast stars.
And you know what? One thing I do want to say about that, which I feel like a lot of people get shit on it, you guys that listen I haven't seen any real, like, pushback.
Oh my God, I know.
For people, for the ads.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that. Like, it literally is, supplementing income. So, I mean, it's, if we get to the point where we could put out fucking 4 or 5 of these things a week and not have to work, that would be incredible.
I know. I already talked to Stacy about it. She said, absolutely not. I said, what if? She's like, no. No. Because what if one day...
But still, what I make on top of another, what I make from my normal job on top of what I would make within 2 weeks, but getting paid within 1 week of that.
Sweeter the beer, man. Yeah, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. That's what they say.
Right, exactly.
And if you would like an ad-free copy of the show, for only $1 per month, which we see about, 6.2 cents of that, you can subscribe on our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/BrohioPodcast, where you can get ad-free versions of the show every week.
We still have our thread list up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go buy yourself a fucking shirt. We barely see any of that either.
We have a merchandise shop, brohiopodcast.threadless.com.
Get your chug it and plug it.
No, hey, brohiopodcast.com. Wait a second.
brohiopodcast.threadless.com.
Let's see. Just type in Brohio Podcast Threadless on Google.
Yeah.
Because when you Google Brohio, we're the only motherfuckers that show up. Not like these other podcasts. These chumps.
Yep.
We don't.
One pump chumps.
We had some guys try and steal our name starting out.
Yeah.
And I wrote them. I said, you guys fucking suck dick.
I think they put out like 6 episodes on YouTube.
You ever think about not stealing somebody else's name? And he's like, I don't care what you think about me.
It's like, just fucking check it out, man. I mean, fuck. It's not that simple or not that hard to do a Google search to see if somebody else has that fucking name.
And I looked it up and they're done. They tapped out 2.5 years ago. Here we are still chugging and plugging. Butt chugging, throwing Zimas up, putting stuff in our butts, throwing stuff on our nuts, rubbing our dick holes together. Here we are, still doing the goddamn do, butt smacking, ball flapping, doing the do, being the bros of Brohio, wind it up.
Having a grand old fucking time.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it up. Let's twist it up and let that thing open up and spray it all over you. Whatever it is.
Cocked, locked, and ready to rock.
Women got 3 holes, 1 butthole. 2 vaginas.
2 of those holes rotate.
My mom says women pee out of their butts. What if we did call her? She's like, well, you remember that time you was sucking that kid's dick for pogs in the bus stop?
We put liquid paper on a bee.
Mom!
It died.
Black leather gloves. Thanks so much for tuning in this week, guys.
We fucking love you guys.